ask the quorum call be vitiated.
Without objection.
Mr. President, on Sunday, November 21st, 2021, a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin, meant to usher in a season of peace on earth, goodwill toward men, turned into a nightmare. One 8-year-old child and 5 adults were murdered. 62 others were injured. Some of the injured, including 3 children, remain in critical condition, their lives forever altered. Families with their children who came to see Santa Claus, high school bands, and the dancing grannies instead witnessed a horror that will leave lifelong psychological scars. First responders and law enforcement who rushed in to administer first aid and compassionately deal with the tragedy will be burdened by their terrible memories for the rest of their lives. But, as is so often the case, in the midst of an awful event caused by the worst in humanity, the absolute best of humanity is fully revealed. This is what we are witnessing in Waukesha. The healing process has already begun. It began immediately as members of the community came together to help the victims and survivors. The very next evening, hundreds of people gathered at an interfaith prayer vigil to pray for healing and strength. I had the privilege of attending that vigil and speaking to members of the community, first responders, and those who knew the victims. It was a moving experience that I will never forget. Sorrowful and yet hopeful. From that experience, I have no doubt that the citizens of Waukesha will recover from this tragedy, but it will take time and a great deal of effort. It will also be the responsibility of civil society to administer justice for this heinous act of evil, because the victims and the community of Waukesha deserve justice. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to bring back the 6 innocent lives who perished. Virginia Sorensen, Leanna Owen, Tamara Durand, Jane Coolidge, William Hospill, and Jackson Sparks, who was only 8 years old. We can pray for healing for those broken in both body and spirit, and also pray for those who will help them heal. We can also show our support by offering a moment of silence here on the floor of the United States Senate, which I will ask for following remarks by my colleague from Wisconsin, who I now yield to.
Mr. President.
The senator from Wisconsin.
On Sunday, November 21st, the joy and celebration of Waukesha's annual Christmas parade was shattered by a horrendous, senseless act of violence that took the lives of 6 individuals and injured scores of others. Immediately, the community responded. Waukesha police and firefighters leapt into action, as did other first responders. And so did parade goers, providing aid and comfort to the injured and their families and those who witnessed such horrendous violence. They escorted some to safety. Many used personal vehicles to bring victims to area hospitals. These were acts of extraordinary heroism at a moment of immense tragedy. I, too, joined in the interfaith vigil the following evening. where I joined hundreds upon hundreds in Waukesha and the surrounding area. This is a first step of an infinite number of steps in both the grieving and healing process. And while the entire vigil was moving in so many ways, I just remember the end where neighbor turned to neighbor to light their candles. And the light was passed on and on. And in that night, after dusk had passed, the area lit up, a symbol of both hope and unity, as well as grief and remembrance. I want to be very clear where I stand as I stand together with the Waukesha community. I think it's simply wrong and disrespectful to the innocent lives that were taken away for anyone to play politics with this horrific tragedy. We know this is not a political issue asking for division. It is a community standing together in unity, asking for support to heal and asking for our love and support as we move forward together. And so we remember Wilhelm Bill Hospel, Virginia Ginny Sorensen, Leanna Lee Owen, Tamara Durand, Jane Kulich, and 8-year-old Jackson Sparks. I yield back to my colleague to ask for a moment of silence in their memory.
Mr. President,
Senator from Wisconsin.
I now invite the Senate to observe a moment of silence in memory of and to recognize those killed, injured, and forever impacted by the attack on the Waukesha Christmas Parade on November 21st, 2021.